The ultimate carry gun is one that you A, trust with your life to work when you need it, and B, something that you're actually going to carry. If you go get your carry permit, buy a new handgun, go practice at the range, and never actually carry your gun on your person, then the time you need a gun may be the time that you don't have it. Now, the ultimate carry gun is going to be the gun that you actually carry, but that will be different from person to person. So today, I want to show you how I've built out this Glock 43X with all the goodies and accessories you need to carry it day to day. Now, there are a lot of great options out there that I would trust all day long, but the Glock 43X from a form factor standpoint has really taken the subcompact market over and is a really reliable option. Not only can you walk into most any local gun stores and pick one up, but the aftermarket support for it is plentiful. The other thing with any gun you're going to rely on is to actually go out and shoot it. Put a few hundred rounds down range. Get comfortable with it. Don't trust your life to anything that you haven't tested by putting hundreds of rounds down range first. So what is our mission for this build? Well, our primary mission is a budget-friendly, practical, reliable, more capable carry gun with everything that you need to start carrying it right away. So for our build, like I said before, I'm picking out the Glock 43X for our carry gun. Now, I could get a PSA micro dagger and save a few bucks, which is essentially a Glock at heart. So why am I spending the extra money here? Well, I'm paying a little bit more for the brand name, but I'm also paying for getting the Glock standards of quality that have a proven track record of being the most reliable guns out there. Don't get me wrong, there are a lot of reliable firearm brands out there that I trust as well, but when it comes to something that I need to work, I'm okay with paying a little more to get something that I can trust my life with. Really, in the end, it's Glock reliable. You can get it almost anywhere, it's comfortable to shoot, it has a decent 10-round capacity, and it's all of those things while being more compact than previous models of Glocks, and that's why it's one of the most popular carry guns out there today, and only getting more popular. Now, the Glock 43X is optics cut with an RMS/RMSC footprint, which means it's compatible with a wide variety of red dots out there. So with that in mind, then, we'll probably want to add a red dot to this 43X since it's milled for an optic right from the factory. If you've never shot a handgun with a red dot, you really should. Almost everyone I have seen shoot a handgun with a red dot is a night and day difference than just using iron sights. Instead of having to line up the front or rear sights with the target and trying to get your eyes to focus on the target and the front sight, a red dot, you just focus on the target and put the red dot where you want it to shoot. It makes it much easier to focus and for your brain to process while your eyes are trying to line things up. So with all that in mind, we're going to go with the AT3 ARO Mini green dot. And when we look at the price, as well as all the features that we're getting here, you're not going to find any better value. You got things like shake awake with auto brightness or even manual brightness, all wrapped in a metal construction. So really, for the price, the value here is really, really high. Now, when it comes to red dots, they are not 100% reliable, no matter who makes them. It's not a matter of if, but when they break. So that's why I always try to look for optics that give me a lifetime warranty, which is what we're getting here as well. What I like about this optic too is that it has an RMS/RMSC footprint, which means it can mount directly to the Glock slide without having to order extra plates or anything like that, or have to worry about stacking tolerances with those plates. It can mount directly to the Glock slide, and since we'll be using this as a carry gun and I'm choosing a subcompact gun, I want as small of an optic as I can get so it's easy to be concealed while still being relatively good size for it to be usable in a, dicey situation. Having the top mounting battery is nice too because I have a lot of dots that have bottom loading batteries and I really don't want to take off my optic every time I have to change out my battery. However, you should always sight in your optic when you change out your battery because your zero can still change when you change it out. So make sure you're doing that. Now, you could get a Trijicon RMR Type 2, but that's like $500. So since we're trying to keep this in a little bit of a budget-minded setup, I gotta go with the AT3 ARO Mini. Up next, we're gonna be adding a weapon light, and the light that I'm gonna go with is the Streamlight TLR7 Sub. Now, why add a weapon light to begin with? Well, it's pretty easy because 50% of the time it's going to be dark. And since I'm going to be carrying this gun around all the time, I don't know exactly when I'll need it. So then I want to be as prepared as possible. I also want positive target identification, which is crucial in a self-defense situation, which is what I'm kitting this gun up for. This is probably one of the most popular, if not the most popular handgun weapon light out there, but why is it so popular? In terms of brightness, this has a 500 lumen output, which is just fine in case I need to use this light because I'm not anticipating having to see very far with this light, so the 500 lumens will be just fine. And if I do need to see further, then I can just bust out a handheld EDC light if it really comes down to it, which I do sometimes carry. You also have a really great way to activate the light with a switch that is well placed for either my trigger finger or my left thumb to activate it, so it's in a perfect spot in case I need to be able to activate it in a really quick situation. It's a thought through design, and that's why this light is so compact, and that's why, again, I'm using it for our build here. You're also getting all of this at a really reasonable price, which again is why it's so popular in the first place, because you can spread your budget out as far as it can go. Okay, moving back to the gun itself, we're gonna add a little bit of a grip, and I really like the Hogue grip that has a rubberized finish and adds a little bit of texture that makes things feel a lot more comfortable. I like the Glock grip just fine, but this helps get a much better purchase on the pistol grip itself. And it really allows us to squeeze our dominant hand in order for me to control the recoil much better. Now, I could have gone with a more textured grip, like the Talon grips that still keep things really nice and compact, but since I'm planning on carrying this in the appendix position, and I don't always wear an undershirt like in the summertime again, then I like how this grip is rubber, which means it won't scratch up my bare skin when it's holstered. The only real downside of this grip is that it's kind of a bear to put on, so I would recommend dipping it in a little bit of hot water, or even Hogue says to use it with a hairdryer, even to just help that rubber expand and make it a little bit easier to put on. It is really nice once you get it on, but it's a little tricky to get there. Okay, so that's it for the gun itself with all the upgrades, but I didn't want to leave it there. I wanted to pick out a holster and a belt for us. So the holster that we're going to go with is the Safariland INCOG-X, and this has a very unique aesthetic because of the collaboration with Safariland and Haley Strategic, which means it's made by people who really know their holsters. Now, holsters are something that I never want to skimp on, because if you get the wrong holster, then it could be very uncomfortable and not to mention dangerous. What I mean here is it could be loose. You might have to adjust it out in public, and it could lead to you not wanting to carry it in the first place. If you spend the money and get the right holster right off the bat, then that will set you up to properly be ready to carry the gun at all times, which is what I want to be doing here. What I like about this is it's got a suede fiber coating that you really don't see with many other holsters, which makes it as soft to the touch as possible. And since I'm going to be carrying this in the appendix position, that is super important to me. This holster is probably going to be on a few places up against my bare skin, so just like with the grip, I need it to be as comfortable as possible so that I don't get uncomfortable when I'm carrying it all day long. I also really like the wing on the built-in wing on the wedge that comes with this holster. It really helps compress the holster down and keeps it tucked into my body as much as possible, which keeps everything nice and concealed. Lastly, we can't carry without the proper belt, and this is something that a ton of people overlook because wearing a belt that is not designed to carry a firearm could lead to a lot of snagging or the belt coming loose, your pants falling down. We don't want any of that. So with that, I'm going to go with the Core Essentials Buffalo Leather 1.5-inch EDC gun belt. And what I really like about these gun belts is that they're super rigid, meaning that they're capable of carrying almost 8 pounds, which means I can carry my gun without having to worry about it getting snagged or it sagging over time. Core Essentials adjustment system is also fantastic, giving me a 1/4-inch adjustment size with a ratcheting system instead of just a standard loop system belt. This gives me a ton of control and gives me a lot of flexibility to adjust it based on what kind of jeans, slacks, or khakis that I'm wearing that day. It's not like some other tactical belts that look super out of place if you're going to wear them at a fancy event. These make you look super great while also a fully prepared citizen. I actually got one of these for my dad, and he says he wears it every day and absolutely loves it. And the guys around here who carry daily have been using Core for years, and they swear by them. So if it works great for them, then it's going to work well for us. And just like a belt or even a belt buckle, maybe you should consider upgrading your basic AR to look more stylish and feel more premium. So if you want to see our recommendations for upgrading one of the most common rifles in America today, you can check out that video right here.